Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today, semi-final number 2 of the fountain pen tournament of 2023. So you've had your pick in the heats. The two pens that you've picked, Pilot Custom 823, and that's going up against the Just Turnings Enceladus, which is a handmade pen. Two gorgeous pens, two pretty looking pens as well. Join me now down on the mat. We'll take a look at the pens. We'll do some size comparisons, some weights and measures, a writing sample. I'll give you some of my thoughts, and then it'll be over to you to vote for the winning pen. Welcome down to the mat. Here we've got the two pens for semi-final number 2. The first pen, the winner of heat number 3. This is the Pilot Custom 823. Give this a quick turn around. And going up against that, the winner of heat 4, the Just Turnings Enceladus. Just look at that. This is a hand-turned pen and it's made by a company here in Australia. Let's have a quick look through the bodies. So this isn't going to be an exhaustive tour of the bodies, but look mainly at differences. First thing we can see is the shape. They are roughly the same length, but the shape, we've got the torpedo shape here with the Custom 823. And this is just more like a tubular with some nice curved ends here on the Just Turnings pen. Let's look at the bodies. Let's actually look what they look like. Just look at the colouring on this from Just Turnings. This is Brooks Blanks and it's golden blue jay. Very nice, pretty, isn't it? Got blues, golds, got some greens like turquoises, teals. Just keep turning it around. It's like a river of colour at times. Very, very pretty. And then with the 823, this is that classic looking pen, isn't it? With that classic brown transparent body. I do like the fact it's transparent. This is a vacuum filling pen. That means that I can see there, I can actually see the ink. Hopefully you can see that sloshing around. I have got the valve open on this. I generally tend to use this pen at home, so I always leave the valve open. If I am going out and about with it, I'll shut the valve. That valve shuts off the body from the section. So if there is an issue, I don't lose all of the ink in the body. We'll take the caps off these. Now this one's going to be difficult, so I'm going to start like this. So there's half a turn. There's 1 turn. There's 1.5 turns. There's 2 turns. So 2 turns. And before we look at the nibs, I'll just show you this one. It's a cartridge converter. It does come with this cartridge converter. It's a Schmidt, I think it's a K5 converter. Plenty of threads. I mean, if you wanted to, I don't see why you couldn't eyedropper it. I don't intend to. I like the idea of being able to change my inks more often. And I also like the idea of knowing how much ink is in there. If I was to eyedropper it, I've got no idea how much ink is in it. I'm just going to leave that like that for a second. We'll take the cap off the 823. So half, 1, 1.5. So about 1 3/4 turns. Taking off both these caps, we reveal the nibs. Let's pop them next to each other so we can look at the nibs. On the Just Turnings pen, this is a steel nib, gold coloured. It's a broad Yoho nib. The guy that makes these, he does have the whole range of Yoho nibs, so you can pick which size you want. I decided I wanted broad. I like my broad nibs. The 823, 14 karat gold. Number 15 size Pilot nib. Really nice nib. You can feel the spring in it when you're writing with it. We'll look at the writing sample later. The Yoho nib here, fairly plain. Haven't really got much on there, which is one of the things I do like. It's not trying to hit you in the face with what it is. With the 823, you know, we've got a lot on there. We've got decoration, we've got the sizes. We've also got a stamp for when the nib was manufactured. Of the two, I actually personally, of these two, I prefer the nib that I'm seeing here on the Yoho. I like the simple look of it. The sections on both, the 823 section slightly smaller. than what we're seeing here on the Just Turnings pen. They're both concave. They both fit nicely in the hand unposted. I use both these pens unposted. So here's the Enceladus, really comfortable pen to hold. Not too wide, not too thin. It will post, but that's it posted. It only posts on that little back part. So I find posted very, very long. Feels back heavy as well, even though it's a light pen. With the 823, again, it's nice, comfy in the hand, nice fit unposted. I do prefer the section here on the Enceladus. I think just being that little bit bigger, because I've got fairly chunky hands, does make a difference. Posted, posts exceptionally well. You'd expect that. Again, to me, because I use it unposted normally, I can feel the extra weight this cap's putting on. So I do find it feels back heavy, as if it's falling into my hand, but doesn't feel too long, unlike the Enceladus that felt massive when it was posted. So that's a quick walk through the bodies. Let's swap over and we'll do some size comparisons. We'll start off with my two standards. So we've got here a Pilot Metropolitan and we've got a Lamy Safari. The Metropolitan and Safari shorter than both of these pens. So these are fairly longish pens when they've got the cap on. Let's take a look at them unposted. So unposted, the Enceladus is the slightly longer of the four pens, only just beating out the 823, and both of them beat out the Safari and the Metropolitan. I've already shown that the Enceladus doesn't post very well, so we won't bother looking at these posted. Let's take a look at some pens that are in roughly the same price range. The pens I brought in, the Pilot E95S. Now, I'm showing this posted. It's a pocket pen. It's designed to be used posted. Look, if I was to show you it unposted, to be honest, it's near enough unusable. So I'm showing these pens how I would be using them if I was writing in my normal day-to-day. So the Pilot E95S, 195 Aussie dollars. It does have a gold nib there. The Just Turnings Enceladus, that was 185 Aussie dollars. The Pilot Custom 823, my most expensive pen, at 394 Aussie dollars. That's more than double the price of that Just Turnings pen. And then I also brought in the Leonardo Memento Zero Grande. That cost me 377 Aussie dollars, and it's the only pen I've got that's anywhere near the price of that Custom 823. The Leonardo is a steel nib. It's actually a steel Yoho nib, but they've had their own branding put on it. Let's pop the caps on these. With the caps on, the pocket pen nature of that E95S is coming out now. You can see it's a lot shorter. The other three pens, I've got to be honest, to me, they're all very much of the same size in terms of length. The Leonardo does seem to be the girthier pen. The Just Turnings ever so slightly narrower. The 823 is narrower, and then the E95S, again, the nature of it is a narrowest. I like the look of all these pens though. Let's swap on over and we'll do some weights and measures. Here I've got the rule of measuring. We'll start off with a Just Turnings pen. So with a cap on, that's 14.7 centimetres. Unposted, just line that up, that's 13.4 centimetres. I will show it posted. As I say, I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't post exceptionally well, and it's massive. It's 18.8 centimetres. The width of the body, its widest part, which is about here, that's 1.38 centimetres. The cap at the widest part, 1.51 centimetres. And then the section, it goes from 1.07 here at the narrowest part up to 1.18, which is at either end. So a nice, as I say, it fits nice in my hand, very comfortable to use. Let's pop this out of the way and we'll look at the Custom 823. So the length, let me get this lined up, is 14.8 centimetres, although there it's coming out to be even longer. And close the valve, but it's 14.8 when that valve's closed. I measure these with a micrometer, so I'm fairly happy with the accuracy of that. I'm just going to undo the valve again. Unposted, 13.07 if that had been closed. With it open, looks like about 13.3, 13.4. And posted, that comes in at 16.3 centimetres, an awful lot shorter than the Enceladus. I do find this pen, it does feel a little tiny bit shorter all the way around in terms of length. The width of the body, so that comes in at 1.25 centimetres. So that's what I was saying, it's narrower than the Just Turnings pen. The width of the cap at its widest part, which is down here near the bottom, that was 1.49 centimetres, so only just narrower than the Enceladus. And the width of the section at its narrowest point, which is just down here, that was 1.06 centimetres, and it went up to 1.13 centimetres. So that's the measurements. Let's fetch in the scales of weighing. Here's the scales of weighing. We'll start with a Just Turnings pen. Remember, both pens have got ink in them. Let me get it there. This is one of the issues with this Just Turnings. It doesn't have a clip, so it does roll quite easy. So 20 grams for the whole pen. The body, 15 grams. 5 grams there for the cap. Very lightweight, you can feel the lightness of it. With the 823, the full pen, 29 grams. That 9 grams makes a difference. Body only, 19 grams. Cap, 9 grams. You can feel the difference between the two. Let's swap on over and we'll fetch in the notepad of testing. Here's a notepad of testing. This is Oxford optic paper. It's in a black and red A5 notebook. First pen we're going to write with is the Just Turnings pen. So this has got a different ink than what I used in heat number 4. So this is Just Turnings. Enceladus. I say it's made in Australia. The broad nib, and it was, let me just check my price, 185 Aussie dollars. The ink in here, it's an Australian ink. It's by Oster. And it's Tranquility. Love this ink, and it does really well in this pen. I think the way we've got these golds really offsets that. Drying times, so we go immediate. 10 seconds. Helps if I don't knock the paper. 30 seconds. 1 minute. After a minute, teeniest amount of smudging coming off, so still wet, but it's not wet enough to do a 2-minute test. It's a Yoho nib, so not expecting much line variation. There's no pressure. There's with pressure. Not much difference. So none, with, none, with, none, and with. I'm going to move the mic down to the page and write a sentence. I'm hoping that came over the mic. It feels a little bit like, I'm going to say squeaking when I'm writing, as if it's like singing to me. It's actually quite nice. There's a nice amount of feedback, both audible and tactile. Really pleasurable experience. Really like writing with this pen. So this is that Just Turnings Enceladus. Now we'll write with the Pilot Custom 823. So we've got here a Pilot Custom. I will be honest with you, it's a completely different writing experience. 394 Aussie dollars. The ink by Dominant Industry. It's Lungo. It's quickly becoming one of my favourite brown inks. Drying times, so we got immediate. Oh, looks very wet, doesn't it? 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Again, very similar to what we've seen with that Tranquility. That's smudging a little bit, but not really enough for me to do a 2-minute test. Line variation, so no pressure. Quite a thin line really. With pressure, we are seeing a wider line. I'm not applying too much pressure because I don't end up damaging the nib, but you can get a little tiny bit of line variation. So none, with, none, with, none, and with. So where I've got that pressure, you can see that wider down line. Again, let's move the mic and write a sentence. I love the way that this pen and ink work together. I love the shading that we're seeing in the writing. The writing experience is definitely different. You can really feel the difference between it. There's less tactile feel, I would say, than what I was getting with the Yoho nib, but it's got that bit more give in it. It feels like it's bouncing a little bit more. It's actually quite pleasant. With the Tranquility, it's got that singing nature. Again, I enjoy that. But anyway, what are my thoughts on these two pens? We'll start with pen looks. I've got to be honest, I really like the looks of this. I love this material. I think it's really nice. It's a material I could quite happily take to a meeting with me. Look, I've just noticed that. Here we've got some like copper and red tones coming through as well. Absolutely gorgeous. Loads of colour, bit of sparkle, but not too in your face. The 823, it's classic. It's a pen you could take anywhere. I mean, yes, I know I've got with a brown ink, you could equally put a black or a blue in here. It would look fine. Very classic, but when you compare the two, it looks a bit boring when compared to what I'm seeing with the Just Turnings pen. Build quality. Had the Custom 823 now about 18 months. Had this Just Turnings pen about 6 months. No issues with them. The build quality is fine. The threads really, really smooth. No catching at all with the threads. Same here with the 823. The only thing I would say with the 823 that makes it a bit difficult, and most people who've got an 823 would chances are agree with this, because it's a vacuum filler, bit of a pain in the butt to clean out. It's doable, but just have to do plenty of wash throughs with water. Writing experience, as we saw when we're doing this, we get this nice singing nature here coming through with Just Turnings pen, whereas we've got the nice soft, the bounciness of the 823. Not sure which one I prefer, because I do like the bounciness, I do like the softness. The 823, it's just one that you want to write with, whereas the Just Turnings pen, it sings, it's pleasant, it's different. Not sure how practical it would be though, if you've got that level of noise coming off in a meeting. Ink flow, both pens write really well. As you can see, we've had no issues. This is 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. So here we've got the Just Turnings Enceladus. Now, one of the things I want to show you on here, on the top line, not sure if it'll come over on the camera, the first few letters have got like a red sheen to them, but it vanishes in the rest of the writing. And I didn't see any in my writing today. I did look, but again, let's see, just in case it comes over on the camera and not to my eye. So I'm not sure if that's meant to be there. The ink that was in this pen before was an orange ink, so I don't think it's like something left over from the previous pen. It's nice though, as you can see there, nice and wet. And we've got a flow test at the bottom. If we compare that to get the right page, here we are, the 823. It's nice, again, loads of shading coming through. You can see all the shading coming through on here. I do love the pen. It's really, really nice. Just going to move up. Again, equally, we've got nice wetness. Got a nice line. I did get a little bit of railroad in there. I think I must have put a bit too much pressure on there. And I've called out there. It's a pain to clean out. So both have really nice ink flow. Comfort, as I've said, they're both fairly nice pens. The Just Turnings is light, but I do find that's made up for by the way that the section is. My fingers just sit there really, really nice. I hold my pens down near the bottom. And then for the 823, it's still nice, still comfortable. I just would have liked a slightly longer section, but that's a very personal thing. Value for money, always a hard one this. I could get 2 of these Just Turnings pens for the price of one of these. 2 versus 1. Handmade versus essentially factory made. Classic looking versus a little bit blingy. I certainly think the Just Turnings one worth every dollar. You know, it's handmade. Someone's got to spend time, you know, taking the blank, carving it. And yes, I know they use machines, polishing it, shaping it, putting it all together. Whereas with the 823, you know, that chances is some kind of factory line. I think the Just Turnings Enceladus, good value. The Pilot Custom 823, it's just an awesome, classy pen. Writes well. I've had no issues with it. Got a nice writing feel to it. It's a lot of money. And that's really where I start thinking, well, is it value for money? Because other pens, like the Just Turnings, they do the same thing. They let you get ideas out of your head onto paper in a way that you like. But they're just my thoughts on these 2 pens. Over to you now. Down to you to go. Head on over to the YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll. Vote for the pen that you'd like to go through to the final of this fountain pen tournament. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Which of the pens do you want to win? Head on over now to my YouTube channel. On the community tab, there's a poll where you can vote for the winning pen. Only votes cast in the poll will count towards the winner. The winning pen will then go forward into the grand final. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.